Am I the a-hole for telling my in-laws exactly where my husband was when I was in labor? I gave birth to my son 10 weeks ago. I went through an exhausting period while I was nearing my due date. I was experiencing discomfort and wanted my husband by my side when I go into labor, but he'd go out every night to hang out at his friend's place and watch football games. I suggested that he play/watch games at home just in case, but he was having none of it and said he had to attend game night at his brother and friend's place, along with his buddies. He said they had certain, how can I describe it, rituals when watching a game, and he can't enjoy doing it at home or anywhere else. The night of our son's birth, my water broke while my husband was at his buddy's place watching a game. I called him and told him to get home and take me to the hospital. It said he was coming, but he didn't. I ended up calling my sister and she took me to the hospital. My husband showed up 2 hours later after I kept calling asking if I was still in labor and that he was almost done watching the game. He was able to make it on time for our son's birth, but I was furious with him, mad and disappointed. He apologized profoundly and has been working on regaining my trust and respect for him after what he's done. He is otherwise very supportive and involved in our son's care. Last night, I was at my in-laws' house for dinner, and we were talking about my son's birth date. My husband suddenly started recalling what happened that night, and basically started lying about driving me to the hospital, waiting and feeling stressed out, and standing on his feet for so long without food or even water. I was confused. I said, no, none of this was true. None of this happened. In fact, he was watching a game when I went into labor, and I wanted him to drive me to the hospital, but he didn't show up till 2 hours later. My mother-in-law, who takes no nonsense from anybody in whom everyone fears, lost it on him, yelling asking him if that was true, and he kept quiet. He started berating him left and right, telling him to sit down and shut up when he stood up to argue, then told him to stand up when he was sitting arguing. Everyone was laughing at how she basically treated him as if he was a boy in trouble. She kept saying, shame, shame, shame on you. This is not how I raised my children to treat their wives. Jordan, you are a disgrace, and I'm disappointed because of what I heard from you. He literally swallowed every bit of his mother's berating, and didn't say anything till we got home, where he went nuts saying and made him look neglectful. A bad husband and father by telling the family about where he was, and said I shouldn't have said anything. But I argued it wasn't okay for him to lie and play hero in front of his parents. He said I just caused a rift between him and family, and asked if I was happy now. Am I the a-hole? Should I have not said anything? Added to say that he has done similar things in the past, since he's a major enthusiast of football and hockey, but I didn't expect it to get to that. Also, this is not our first baby together. We have a 4-year-old son. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You didn't make him look like anything. He did. Truth hurts. Maybe next time he will do what he should and not act like a child. Not the a-hole. You said that he's working on regaining your trust, but by lying about his refusal to be there for you, he took a major step back in his attempt to be more trustworthy. Your mother-in-law is awesome though. Your husband got exactly what he deserved. I love the mother-in-law here. Wow. Just wow. Not the a-hole. Husband is absolutely 100% an a-hole for 1, not driving his wife to the hospital when she went into labor, 2, waiting until the game was over to get to the hospital, and 3, lying about it to his family. This would honestly make me question divorce. This is bad. At the very least, marriage counseling would be a must. His argument was that my sister's house was 15 minutes away and thought she'd take me, then he'll follow. Not the a-hole, and I'm sorry, but it sounds like you have deeper issues than him just going to his friend's house to watch football. He doesn't have respect for you, and unfortunately it shows clearly. After his mom put him in his place, which I fully support and think was on the right, he went back home to scream at you and berate you for telling her the truth? At this point, his relationship with his mom shouldn't be your concern. It should be his lack of interest in you and your child, which was clearly shown by him not even showing up to take you to the hospital. I don't believe that saying to you to leave him will do anything. But you do need therapy ASAP. And if he doesn't want any, that's your full answer. You're a mother now and need to put your and your child's well-being before your husband's. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for punishing my husband for throwing away my dinner? To preface, my husband 33 and I 29 have been together for 4 years. He's vegan and I'm not. He cooks for himself and I cook for myself since he doesn't eat meat products. Last night, I prepared dinner and sat on the couch to eat and watch TV. I heard my phone ring upstairs and went to answer it as it was an important call. I got caught up in the conversation and didn't realize I spent 6 minutes on the phone. I went downstairs after the call ended and saw my husband sitting on a couch. I looked past him and saw my dinner plate was gone. I looked around asking if he touched it. I decided he dumped the food in the trash can because it looked like it was left on the coffee table for a long time, and there was bad smell coming out of it, almost like the meat was rotting inside, and said that while making a disgusted face. I was floored. I yelled at him, "What the hell is wrong with you?" I just prepared dinner for myself and was about to eat but had to take a 6-minute phone call and come back. He said he didn't know food was fresh since he was in his office working, but still insists there was weird smell coming from the plate. I said it was none of his concern, and he should have left it alone. But he defended himself, saying it wasn't his fault his eyes got tired of working and wanted to watch TV. But I decided to leave meat laying around for him to feel disgusted, knowing how he reacts to being exposed to meat products. He started making gagging sounds, then went on about the living room being mutual space and that I disrespected him by leaving meat around. I mentioned that he always eats his food in the living room, sometimes the bedroom even. He said, "So you're saying you're disgusted with my cooking?" I asked if he was disgusted with mine, but he explained that his problem was me leaving meat on display with total lack of consideration for his health. We got in a big argument that I went upstairs and refused to do the dishes, after he reminded me since that's my part of chores. True. He ended up doing them himself and started complaining I was punishing him for what happened by making him do the dishes with his injured, he had an accident, hand. I said since his injured hand threw my dinner away, then it can do the dishes just fine. But he said I'm violating the deal and not sticking to my part of chores. Am I the a-hole? I'm thinking maybe he was right and that the living room is shared space and I shouldn't have left meat there. Not the a-hole. Your husband sure is. I understand that he's not thrilled with you eating meat. However, he behaved in a childish and petty manner. What he did was both wasteful and disrespectful. There is no way he would have allowed meat to sit around for days, thus allowing it to rot and smell bad. He knew you were a meat eater prior to marriage. If he had a problem with it, he shouldn't have gotten married. Honestly, I haven't eaten meat for 10+ years, and it's pretty freaking obvious that freshly cooked plate of meat isn't rotting. It also won't affect his health to have it in his vicinity. These are all just BS excuses. As a vegan, that genuinely pisses me off because he just wasted meat just to be a petty a-hole. Yeah, I'm a vegetarian of almost 20 years. This dude's just really dumb and trying to make a point. Not the a-hole. So your husband is a vegan and doesn't agree with eating meat, but surely by throwing your food away has now made it so the animal died for absolutely no reason, since you didn't get to eat it? Not only does he sound rude, controlling, condescending, and obnoxious, he's also furthering the problem by wasting the meat that would have at least died for a reason if you'd been able to eat it. I absolutely hate people that force their way of life on others. I'm a vegetarian, but would never stop my husband eating meat because that's his choice. Not the a-hole, but kinda everyone sucks here. He definitely shouldn't have thrown out your dinner without asking if you're finished with it, and you understandably reacted poorly to it. But all of this is you both overreacting and being upset at something that should be a minor annoyance in a healthy relationship. I think you and your husband need to take this as a sign that there's something that's deeply wrong and needs to be discussed in private. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife that she is the mediocre one? My wife and I are both highly educated people. We both have doctorates and several master's degrees, as well as being successful in our professional lives. We also have a son, Caleb, 18 male, who is our pride and joy. Throughout Caleb's life, my wife and I have had some disagreements about parenting. I'm someone who values my son being a well-rounded person, which means I don't want Caleb to just have good grades and I don't care if he doesn't get a perfect score. And my wife is someone who values grades and discipline. It has taken us a long time to find a balance between what me and my wife want. Caleb is in his first semester of law school. One of the requirements to graduate is to certify that you know the English language. Since Caleb already has a certification, he decided to pick up German as a fourth language. I advised him to maybe wait to third semester to start learning German, just to give himself time to get used to how university works, and also because he has history of pressuring himself a lot when studying. Caleb was adamant on starting now, so I didn't push the issue forward. He just finished his second evaluation and is not doing as well as he expected. He's doing, in my opinion, fine. 9 out of 10 in his first test and 8 out of 10 in his second one. but he is very upset with himself. I tried to console him and told him that if he wanted to, we could look for some private tutoring. But I also reassured him that for someone who has never spoken an ounce of German, he is doing amazing. My wife, on the other hand, is furious with Caleb. She told him that his grades are unacceptable and to start putting in more effort on his education. Caleb got even more upset and started crying. She tried to ground him for 2 weeks with no outings, but I didn't let her do so. So now she's mad with me. She says that my weak parenting is allowing our son to be mediocre, and that she didn't raise Caleb to be average. I got mad because our son is nor average nor mediocre, so I ask her how many languages she speaks. My wife answers 1, so I tell her that she really doesn't have a say on this particular issue, since out of the 3 of us, she's most likely the mediocre one in that department. She got even more furious, so now I'm sleeping on the couch until further notice. I think you're really messed up here, but got very mad with her for making our son cry, so I couldn't keep quiet. This is way beyond Reddit's pay grade. Not today, Hall, but you need to get your son some help or he's going to burn out, and it will be you and your wife's fault. Someone needs to advocate for him, and ASAP. This reminds me of that one meme, "You ruined a perfect good ex." Look at it, it's got anxiety. Not today, Hall. Your son is 18 years old and your wife is still trying to ground him? For bad grades? He doesn't sound mediocre. Keep sticking up for your son. How is 8 out of 10 mediocre anyway? Mediocre would be 5 out of 10. In my opinion, those grades are not bad at all. His first test consisted of 50 questions and he was wrong on 6, so he got 9. His second test was 60 questions and he was wrong in 12, so he got 8. He's never had contact with the German language, so those marks are fantastic. I'm gonna go with everyone sucks here. Mostly your wife is the a-hole, but it sounds to me like you have been enabling her or not putting your foot down for far too long. I was considered prodigious in elementary school. I just learned to read in kindergarten and had a head start. And because of my overachieving parents, I was totally burnt out by high school. Beyond a certain point, this pressure will only make Caleb's grades fall even more, together with his mental health. Please get him a therapist and have a big sit-down talk with your wife about whether Caleb's achievements are honestly higher on the priority list than his health and happiness. Better yet, considering her mindset likely originated from her own upbringing, she would probably also benefit from therapy. After all, I'm sure she loves her child, just not the way he needs her to. Last story. Am I the a-hole for volunteering my boyfriend and his truck to help my brother and his wife move? My 24 female boyfriend of over 2 years, 27 male, owns a newer, full-sized truck. I think he sinks way too much of his income into it and should probably just drive a regular car since he just drives it back and forth to work and to do errands. But he loves it, and it's his baby. My older brother, 31 male, and his wife, 31 female, recently bought a house and are moving out of their apartment. I was at my parents' house with the 2 of them when they announced it to us. When I asked them when they were moving and they told me, I told them, well, hey, my boyfriend has his truck, which I'm sure will come in handy. I'll have to ask him, but I'm sure he wouldn't mind you using it and helping you out. They told me that this would be great. When I told my boyfriend about it, though, to say that he started grumbling would be an understatement. He started going on about how he didn't want to give up his Saturday to help my brother and his wife move, and how he didn't want to put that wear and tear on his truck. He said that people moving stuff in and out of his truck bed was likely to put scratches on it, and how I shouldn't have volunteered him at his truck without talking to him first. I told them that I'd have to ask him first, and that it was ultimately up to him. He responded that there was no way for him to say no to it without looking like an a-hole to my family, so I pretty much made it so that he had no real choice. I think he's been kind of a baby, honestly, and should just be happy to help. My brother actually helped my boyfriend get his current job, so my boyfriend kind of owes him one. But maybe I was a little presumptuous? What do you think? You're the a-hole. You can't do that for him. You should have said nothing and asked him first. If he now feels obliged to do it, you need to help. It's very hard work. People can only offer themselves to do something like that. I bet it doesn't tell his siblings that you're going to make a dinner for them and their 30 guests, because they helped you with a plan too. This. You should have just kept quiet, asked him, and then said, hey, my partner has a vehicle we can use. You put him in such a tight spot. Opie, you're the a-hole. I also love how Opie is super critical about the truck in the first paragraph, but as soon as it comes in handy, she volunteers it on his behalf. I say you're the a-hole. You pretty much volunteered someone else's time without asking them. Doesn't matter if it's family or not, it's still their day and not yours to give away. And let's be honest, moving sucks. And people can't back out. You pretty much backed him into a corner to not being able to say no without looking like a total a-hole to your family. Also, you really shouldn't talk so badly about how he spends his money on a hobby that he clearly enjoys. If his bills are paid, then what he does in his spare time that gives him joy then is not stupid. And note that there was no mention of paying for his time or even just gas. Laughing my butt off. Do any of these people realize your boyfriend wouldn't even have a job if it weren't for your brother? They are family. Like, how ungrateful. I'm 28. But it seems like everyone in the comments is so butthurt because of his precious Saturday and, oh my god, scratches. First of all, the scratches won't freaking happen. There are so many ways around this. Also, if you live in Southern California and you own a truck, you're pretty much a small member of Chad. Especially if you don't even use it for its intended use. Like, I'd be embarrassed to be with someone who owns such a truck and doesn't actually use it for anything besides point A to B. Yes, moving sucks and helping people sucks, but you can help one day with your boyfriend. It could be fun and a bonding experience and when you need to move. Who's to say you won't need help too? Like, did everyone forget what family is? I completely agree. Volunteering someone isn't the greatest, but the boyfriend would be in the exact same situation of looking like an a-hole had a family ask him. And if you're worried about your truck bed getting scratched, then you don't need a truck. Or just put a sheet of plywood down first.